Hey there, class. We're continuing in part 6 from the 20th to the 21st century, 1900 through 2020. The 1990s, fashion fragmentation. Some historical background, U.S. domestic politics. So, NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, was signed into legislation in 1992 by the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. This legislation reduced tariffs and established the world's largest free trade zone. Energy and environmental issues. The environmental movement was the result of consumers' increased education about the dangers to the environment. Consumers began to prefer natural fibers that pose less danger to the environment. Such fibers included organic cotton or also finishes to cotton, such as cottons that were dyed by using natural dye. The Middle East. The Persian Gulf War, also called Operation Desert Storm, influenced military style clothing. The war also most likely had an impact on synthetic fibers as access to oil was hindered. Japanese influences. In response to Japanese competition, some American manufacturers moved their production overseas to take advantage of cheaper labor. Japanese youth engaged in cosplay, dressing up as characters from manga, comic books and cartoons, and anime animation. Designers began to be more conservative and commercial in their work. Computers. Technological improvements allowed for responses to changes to occur almost instantly. Quick response systems permits rapid ordering, manufacture, and delivery of goods. Computers provide innovative sales techniques as well through mass customization, which is where consumers are able to customize merchandise and purchase it at retail prices comparable to mass production prices. The internet sped up the spread of fashion information. Clothing could now be purchased through TV, websites, and brick and mortar stores. Ethnic inspired looks. Growth of the Latinx population led to clothing targeting the Hispanic consumer. The AIDS impact on fashion. So, top designers died from AIDS. Investors shied away from backing firms due to the loss of key personnel. Changes in the fashion industry. Ready to wear continued to be the motivating force behind fashion change. There were two important transformations: conglomerates acquiring couture and ready to wear houses, and global marketing. Fashion designers such as Stella McCartney, Alexander McQueen, and Karl Lagerfeld were popular during this period. Merchandising. Department store sales floor were organized into small boutiques featuring a sole designer. Discounters or off-price retailers begun to rise in prominence. Bridge lines, which are lower price secondary lines, are created by high-end fashion designers but sold again at lower prices. Vintage clothing. Vintage clothing is used clothing that was manufactured years prior. Vintage does not always mean cheap. In fact, it is often associated with being expensive. Some consumers who value craftsmanship, quality, and luxury shop vintage clothing. Garments could easily cost over $1,000. New selling methods. Department stores begin to close as off price discounters and factory outlet stores rose. Style tribes. Style tribes grew in comparison to tribes in the 1980s. The term fashionista is used to describe affluent adult followers of fashion designers. Music groups. Hip hop music impacted fashion with many artists starting their own lines. Here's a few hip hop artists who started their own clothing lines. Russell Simmons, who started Phat Farm and then later started Baby Phat with his wife Kimora Lee Simmons at the time. Jay-Z, who started Rocawear, and Sean Combs, who started Sean John. Other hip hop clothing labels include Fubu, Karl Kani, and Echo. When it came to jewelry and accessories, young people wore multiple earrings in one ear. Body jewelry was also worn on other parts of the body, such as in the nose, lips, tongue, and navel. Most models during the time had a heron chic look, which was pale skin, unkept hair, and large circles under their eyes. Models appeared on the runway and in magazines with this look. These models caused concern that the wrong message was being displayed to the youth, encouraging the use of drugs. Casual lifestyles. Businesses adopted a casual Friday. The industry felt that casual Fridays would negatively affect the hosiery, necktie, and suit industries. This concern came about as less dressier clothing would be purchased for business wear. High-tech fabrics are those that have unique properties that are waterproof, breathable, and moisture wicking. A lot of high-tech fabrics are used in exercise clothing. Costume components for women. So Japanese influences were evident with the use of blacks and grays in innovative cuts and design. Minimalist designers created styles with neutral colors and little ornamentation and good lines. No one silhouette dominated during this period. Dress was more so influenced by one's peers. Basic classic styles were worn year after year. Rear risers or butt boosters were padded panties used to enhance a woman's backside. Mix and match separates were often worn. A frilly white blouse with large sleeves was one of the most popular top styles during the period. Wrap coats and trench coats were also popular. Takinis, a two-piece bathing suit with a tank top and separate bottom, was introduced. Ski goggles were worn on the head as a fad. Bed hair or tousled hair was the hairstyles worn. Footwear included revivals from the previous years, such as platforms, stilettos, spectators, thigh-high boots, and hiking boots. Women also wore small diamond solitaire, ear studs, brightly colored costume jewelry, and chandelier earrings. Handbags and business briefcases incorporated pockets for cell phones. Costume components for men. Dress clothing took on a sportier look. Color ranges for men expanded. The black leather Perfecto motorcycle jacket and vest, which was originally considered street fashion, had now been adopted by haute couture, making it a mainstream fashion. Jockey introduced the string bikini for men during this period. Men's hair care consisted of products that help the hair to stand up and have a tousled-like effect. Young men wore their baseball caps backwards, and a variety of shoe styles were also worn by men, such as wing-tipped, two-tone, hiking boots, and sneakers. Costume components for children. High-priced, high-fashion lines were produced for children of all ages. Infants dressed in rompers and overalls. Infants and toddlers wore bubbles, which were one-piece rounded garments. Barney, the dinosaur logo, appeared on the clothing of preschoolers and was quite popular. Amendments to the Flammable Fabrics Act of 1953 allowed for more flame-retardant sleepwear to be produced. However, tightly fitted sleepwear was exempt in 1996, as well as sleepwear for children under 6 months. Schools implemented dress codes to cut down on gang related incidents. Many schools actually adopted uniforms. Backpacks were fashionable, but later schools required clear backpacks as a result of violence incidents. These clear backpacks enabled school officials to know what exactly was being carried in the backpack. Shoe styles included boots and sneakers. Preteen girls wore layered outfits such as sweatshirt dresses, jumpers, and dresses with dropped waistlines. Boys' clothing was influenced by hip hop. Boys' dress wear resembled that of men's casual dress.